معرفة.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So today we will understand what is capital market. Capital markets, like banks, are involved in intermediation. However, unlike banks, they enable direct financing. That is, the investor who buys stocks or bonds has direct exposure to the underlying firm with nothing in between. What I'm trying to say here is that if you are a corporate or a sovereign, and if you want to raise financing, there are two ways. One is to go to a bank and seek the financing, and other is to go to a capital market. So here capital market becomes a platform where you go and you are the seeker of the fund, and the investors of the fund could be in a regional country or it could be globally at the world platform. And they become your investor and you become the fund seeker. And that is basically what capital markets is. That is, it gives you a direct exposure, a direct contact with the investor at a much more bigger platform. That is the reason why capital markets have become such great platforms for institutions to raise liquidity, both in the form of equity and both in the form of debt. When we say in the form of equity, it becomes the equity part of the capital markets, and when we say debt, it becomes the bond part of the capital market. So today when we look at the global world scenario, the global outstanding bond market is in the size of $100 trillion. The whole market cap of the global equity market is around 108 trillion US dollars. So this gives you an impact that how big a market this is at a global level, where institutions are given such a smooth opportunity to go and raise liquidity. In addition to intermediation, capital markets can be part of payment systems and enable intertemporal transfer. For example, one could transfer wealth across time by investing in shares or bonds and registering the asset in the name of one's children. Meaning to say, if I want to buy an equity for my children and say that the beneficiary of this equity should be my children, and I can go to an international capital market platform, buy the equity, so that going forward, if I hold that equity for a long term, my children can benefit from the incremental that equity could bring or multiply into. In the same way, the bond market also functions. Finally, well-developed capital markets can be a very effective medium for monetary policy transmission. What I mean here is that the more they develop this market, the more it will facilitate both the investors and as well as the fund seekers who want to raise liquidity. And that is the reason why today we find in developed economies, it's very easy for companies to prosper. The reason being that they could easily raise their liquidity either through a debt channel or through an equity channel. More developed economy you see, a more developed capital market environment you see. That's the reason why bulk of the debt which is raised today is raised in developed economies. Lesser developed economy, the lesser opportunities for institutions to raise liquidity. At the same time, lesser the opportunity for individual to be participant or go and invest in this economy and make benefit out of this economy.
معرفة.